Hey guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome to Oh So Inspired Day. I seem to have not recorded audio while I was filming, so I am doing this in voiceover. This is Lennox. He's been very cuddly ever since the fall has happened, so he's been streaming with us a lot on my live streams that are on Sunday. However, that's not what we're here to talk about today. So today is the 20th, which is always the day that Call Me Crafty Al does a really fun collaboration challenge with a whole bunch of people called Oh So Inspired, where we are inspired by a particular work. And then basically we all do our riffs on that thing. So let me just bring the card up on screen here so you can take a look at it. This month's inspiration is called Thank You Leaves, and it comes from us from Heidi C., who is Stampin' Heidi on Instagram. There's a link down below in the description box, as is the community playlist if you want to watch everybody else's take on this inspiration. There are a couple things that stood out to me about this card. And the first one is the idea of basically either fussy cutting or die cutting out a image and using that as sort of the focal point on the card. And I also like how she basically punched a hole in the pattern paper to really highlight the piece that she put on top of it. So let's talk about the supplies I decided to use for this. I decided to go with a coffee theme, and I had this tag already from a previous project, so I decided to use it. And you can see Linux also approves of Hello Friend as a sentiment. Anyway, so that looked about perfect and nicely matched the brown as well. Anyway, I decided to die cut out a coffee cup from the pattern paper that you see below. And then I did a secondary layer here as well out of the cardstock just to give it a little more weight. So the pieces here are a A2 card base, which is the light brown. That is 5.5 by 4.25. We then have the darker brown mat, which is 4 by 5.25, and then the pattern paper is just 1/8 of an inch smaller than that. So you get a very thin border. I think if I would do this again, I probably would actually go and use a slightly darker color. Anyway, you see Linux being difficult as usual. But what I'm planning to do is cut out that pink cup there, and then I'm going to put my die cut over it. Now what I'm going to do is use a 2-inch punch and just line the coffee cup I want to remove out, and then just punch it that way. I always find flipping your punches over makes it a lot easier if you're trying to do something a little more precise. So as you can see here, I'm just going to line it up, and there we go. And then we have our little chomp out of the paper so that we have this all ready to go. So basically, the only thing left to do is assemble all this together. As you can see, that is just sort of a nice look there. And the idea that I had was to basically use that lighter tan colored coffee mug, because then you'd have two of those facing each other. Kind of like there were two friends having coffee. I don't know that that actually made it through in the final composition, but I really liked it as an idea. So basically what I'm going to do next is just glue all 3 layers together and then get the coffee cup into place. And after this first layer is down, what I'm going to do is actually switch over to wet glue, because the pattern paper layer is going to have a really thin border, and I want to make sure that I have a little bit of working time so that I can line it up properly. So I'm just going to go and grab some of my favorite PVA glue. I'm just doing a little dry fitting here just to sort of make sure I like how that's going to lay out. And we could actually use the other side here. This would also be a really nice composition. As you see, like if we use this one as the like base piece, we get a lot more contrast. And that would probably be more similar to the original card that we were looking at. So let me just put some glue down here. And then what we're going to do is just line this up. And there we go. And we almost averted a tail gluing catastrophe, but luckily that was not an issue. So this is basically most of our card together. The only thing we really have to do is get the ephemera on. As you can see, the base cardstock there and the like sort of background of the pattern paper is very similar. So I think this is sort of a less striking look than you get in the original, where you had more of a floral against a neutral. I'm just going to glue my 2 layers together there, and then I'm going to pop this up on a little bit of foam, just because it was really blending into the background at this point, so I wanted to do something to make it look a little bit more interesting. And just, I don't know that it comes through in the photos, per se, of the card, but in real life, you can definitely tell the difference. So I'm just going to put some little hexagonal foam dealies on there. And then I'm going to do a little more dry fitting just to see if I like the look. Basically, if you didn't like the look, you could always peel these off, because if you're going to glue it down, no one's going to see that side of it. But I wound up really kind of liking how sort of the 2 coffee handles came together, just because it looked very friendshipy to me. And like, this is going to be sort of almost an any occasion card, but I kind of saw it more as a friendship card than anything else. And our little furry friend is resituating himself just in time to potentially cause some issues, but he did not. So there we go. Now we've got our piece down, and really the only thing left to do now is to, yeah, now you can kind of see how the foam pops it up there. So I'm just going to use, I'm just doing a little more dry fitting. I actually wind up putting the sentiment a little more up right like that, because it kind of breaks up the pattern paper. I wanted to have something that kind of used that upper space a little bit. So I'm just going to throw some glue on there, and then what we're going to do is put it down. And basically this card is done at this point, so you could, yeah, and I'm kind of showing you that I like sort of the diagonal flow there. Anyway, this card is pretty much done unless we want to bling it, and I did decide to go and grab a copper sequin that was adhesive backed and in my very large bucket to the side of my desk of embellishments. I should probably show it to you guys at some point, but I have way too many enamel dots. But we're going to put this on here, and there you can see the final card. Just bring it up to camera so you can get a better look. And there we go. That is our Oso inspired card for November. As usual, I'll invite you to look at the community playlist in the description box below, and also go and check out the original on Instagram and leave the original artist some love as well. We always like to thank the folks who inspire us every month. So this is Jay, that is Lennox on the right, and thanks for checking this out. I will talk to you guys later.